Hey, I'm Zach,
And I'm Jesse.
and you're watching Tesla Time News
Episode 84.
on the road from Scandinavia. So, did you hear this new company buying Teslas, Jesse?
Oh, is it like a taxi company or delivery company or...
No, this is a tunnel security company.
Oh, I haven't heard about a lot of those. What company is this?
The Boring Company. Yeah, take a look at this. These are pictures of a Model X that is owned by the Boring Company, and another picture on Elon's Instagram. This is in the Boring Company tunnel, the 300-foot tunnel that is in front of the Hawthorne headquarters for SpaceX that has already been completed.
Wow.
Now they're working on a new tunnel. Here is the 2.7-mile proposed tunnel that will run under Sepulveda Boulevard.
Oh, cool. And you can see the dotted lines here are where trucks are going to be moving dirt from the tunnel out and then across the city to a landfill where they're going to ultimately take all the soil that is extracted.
Yeah, and it looks like the Board of Building and Safety Commissioners has now signed off on the project as a concept, and they're waiting for the California Environmental Quality Act to accelerate the project.
Now, I heard that there's another tunnel or something. There's the one that they already built, then there's this other 2-mile long one, and then I heard that there's another one.
Right, so they're planning on a 6.5-mile tunnel that we reported on earlier. That's their proof of concept that'll be under LA. This 2.7-mile tunnel is a new one that they're talking about under Sepulveda Boulevard. I'm not quite sure what this is for, if it's just a proof of concept or if it's going to be incorporated into the whole network of tunnels.
So this is a new electric vehicle. It has a range of 50 kilometers. It has an impressive 4 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometer range.
Wait, how could it be so efficient? It's got to be really tiny.
It's got 3 wheels, and yeah, it is tiny. You can fit 3 Zbees into a single parking space.
Wow. And now this is a Swedish company.
This is a Swedish company, and how cool is that?
It seems like this is going to be for maybe the Indian market at first.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a rickshaw.
So, some interesting facts about Sweden and electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
I just learned that there are 50,579 rechargeable cars in Sweden right now.
Wow.
Now, for a population of 10 million, that seems like an awfully small number.
Yeah, it is a pretty small number, and keep in mind that about 72% of those rechargeable cars are plug-in hybrids, and only 28% are full battery EVs. But there is one very interesting thing about electric cars in Sweden.
What's up?
Which is that the Model S is now the most popular electric car in Sweden.
Really?
As of April 2018, there are 3,072 Model S's in the country of Sweden.
Wow. Now, as we've been driving around, I haven't seen too many of them.
No, and again, it's because it's a very big country and there's a very small number of cars, so that's most likely why we have not seen all that many.
Yeah, they're projected to only have 80,000 EVs by the end of this year. All right, so everyone's been tweeting and asking about this CBS interview that happened the other day on the 13th. Mm-hmm. CBS had shot this interview and been holding it for a while and releasing little previews and pieces of it, and finally they released the portion where Elon is walking through the Model 3 factory floor. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to kind of touch on a few of the points that caught me.
Okay.
One of them was that Elon has been sleeping in the factory to help move things along, and we know that from time to time, whenever there's a problem at any of his factories, that's what he does. He stays there, he hangs out, and sometimes he has to live there because it's just more efficient. And they kind of acted all surprised about that, as if, wow, a CEO is doing this.
Right. He's been doing that basically since day one.
Right.
Anytime that there was, large issues, he would be sleeping at the factory.
And my Model X was one of the first Model X's off of the Fremont factory floor, and Elon was supposedly sleeping there when that was happening to make sure that rolled out fine.
Right. So it shows that because they're acting all surprised about it, that they don't really know what they're talking about. Like, they haven't done their research.
Right. They make it sound like there's this huge problem and that for the first time he's had to sleep on the floor. This is how Elon runs his companies. He's a hands-on leader who wants to show everyone else that he is willing to put in the time and effort if they are willing to work extra hard.
Right. One side note on him sleeping in the factory is that he really is sleeping on what looks like the most uncomfortable couch you could possibly
Yes.
Possibly. I mean, Elon, if you're listening, there's a thing called Craigslist. I know that you're very busy running lots of companies. Find a really comfy couch, maybe a pull-out couch,
or assign your chief of staff. Like if I'm Elon's chief of staff, and this is just a plug for me, if you're looking for one, I would get you a more comfortable place to sleep.
Yeah, just a bed.
Yeah. I mean, he had to sleep on the floor, they said, because the couch wasn't comfortable enough and it was too narrow.
Right.
Like, come on, team, help your leader.
If you're looking to be profitable, I think you can invest in a bed.
Yeah.
Or dream case. I'm just saying.
Oh, dream case. That way you can drive around the factory floor. I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Another thing, if you took away from this story, was that they said they cut. I think they cut up the sound bites to sound like that he automated the factory too much.
Right. They use this term over automated.
Right.
Which is not something that I've heard before as like a business term.
Right.
Now, I think that you can over automate something. Obviously, if you Rube Goldberg something, it might not be the right thing to do. And true, Model 3 production line was, full of robots very early on. It was not a lot of workers, humans obviously being a lot more adaptable than robots who have to be programmed perfectly every single time. And that did lead to some issues, especially early on when all the bottlenecks were really piling up to slow down the production of the car to this extreme amount.
But if the takeaway is that you over-automated and that's why you're so slow, that is the wrong takeaway. As Elon pointed out, if you're using our past model as a prediction of our future, you're going to be sadly mistaken.
Right.
They are getting faster and faster at what they're doing. I mean, the number of robots that we're talking about for the Model 3 line is so much more than for any of the other cars.
Right.
And I get it. If there's one little small spot where the robot is slower or is having trouble, it's going to slow down the whole line. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you've over-automated.
I think that the really interesting takeaway from the CBS interview was all of the shots of the robots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had robots doing every conceivable task.
Right, things that I've seen humans doing before, just like
Right.
moving pieces around.
Right.
What I hated was the montage in this episode where they showed the crash, and they showed he wasn't hitting his numbers, and they showed, it's like they always want to go back to the stock price dropping, and Wall Street says this. First of all, who's Wall Street? It's always the shorts. So they always point to these negative things which aren't true.
Right, and they act like each of these things is some kind of event that had happened. And I mean, each of those things had happened, but none of those things affected the Model 3 production numbers.
Right. So a new software engine has just come out, the 2018.14. It's being rolled out kind of slowly to all users, and that's going to have a major navigation update. So what's that going to do?
So this update is something that we actually got to get our hands on and take a look at. It's speeding up the center screen as well as a bunch of other things. So first of all, we did some tests, and the screen, using the same MCU, the same old MCU, the browser was able to be faster, the maps reacted faster. I mean, the browser used to be completely unusable, and I think that everyone knows this.
Yep.
But now it has gotten to, I would say, like a late 2000s, like a 2009 kind of feel, speed wise. You still can't watch any videos, which is fair. That's smart in a car.
So at these speeds, you can kind of actually start to do things like Yelp and find a place to go to dinner, whereas before you would type in like place to dinner and then just sit there. Also tied in with this is the internet connection speed. So up until this point, we've only seen peak speeds of around 3 or 4 megabits per second. Now we ran some speed tests, and we saw numbers like 12 and 13 megabits per second, which is about 3 or 4 times faster.
Which is amazing for using the exact same hardware. Along with this update comes a new navigation system, which is sort of Waze-like in that it uses a lot of crowdsourced data. Now you might be saying, well, if we're just using Tesla data, then that's not very helpful. Not to worry. It uses a bunch of different partners to help it get the best traffic data possible. So
no, wait a minute. Does this mean it's going to know where my Tesla is at any moment?
So the way that they do it is they collect data not specific to you or your vehicle. So you are just a
data point.
Yeah, you're just a data point to your
So it's a mix of other Tesla drivers and the larger data sphere.
Absolutely.
So I can't wait to get my hands on this navigation when we get back home and test it out, and we'll probably be making videos about it.
Yep. All right, so Dad, take a look at this.
Oh my gosh! Someone just drove their Model X into the ocean!
What? No. This is a new Electric Hydrofoil Taxi Service Startup.
What?
Yeah, it's called Seabubbles, and they're testing an all-electric hydrofoil water taxi.
Are you kidding me?
No.
It's electric?
It's 100% electric.
What's making it go?
So beneath the water, there are two 10-kilowatt motors, which are propelling it forward, and then it uses hydrofoils to stay up above the water, which allows it to go much faster than usual boats because you don't have that much displacement. I love hydrofoils. Hydrofoils are the coolest thing. They're basically like planes but underwater, and you keep the rest of you up out of the water.
And what's the advantage of that again?
Speed, mostly.
So you get rid of all that water friction because most of the boat's hull is out of the water?
Yeah. And the advantage here is that it's all electric. So everything that is great about electric cars, bring that into the water, you get a zero emission, no noise, it's fast, it doesn't create much waves because it's you're just slicing through the water instead of pushing it all out of the way.
Wait, so this is a taxi service, so this is going to be used in cities?
Yeah, they're thinking of using it in cities with a lot of like rivers and stuff like that. Another advantage is that because you're not floating on the water, you're sort of cutting through it. Mm-hmm. You don't get as much rocking.
Oh, you don't get seasick?
Like that. Yeah, they have flaps underneath the water. It's like flying an airplane through water, right? And then having a stick that goes up and you're above the water looking down at this airplane that you've built underneath the water.
Wow, and these are all, top, like, we have a top-rated windsurfer, we have winners of the World Cup working on this team, so why, they've been working on it for years, why isn't it a thing?
Some of the slowdown is due to regulatory approvals and stuff like that. They had wanted to test it in Paris, but they had to move to Lake Geneva in Switzerland just because of regulations, I guess.
Oh, well, come on, Paris, let's get on this. It would be so cool to be able to travel across the city in a hydrofoil.
And it would be so much faster. You know what I really want? I want this to be implemented in, like, a Tesla.
Can you imagine?
Drive down your Tesla, then you...
Lower your fins.
Lower the fins. You just sort of drive the whole thing into the water, lower the fins, get it started, and then...
Rich rebuilds. Start working on it.
Thinking about it.
All right, it's time for Elon's Tweet of the Week.
So this is a tweet from The Economist. It says, Tesla will need to raise $2.5 billion to $3 billion this year, according to Jefferies, a bank.
And Elon responded by tweeting, The Economist used to be boring, but smart with a wicked dry wit. Now it's just boring. Sigh. Tesla will be profitable and cash flow positive in Q3 and Q4, so obviously no need to raise money. As Tesla said in their...
This is the biggest... Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. This is the biggest news I've heard all week.
Okay.
If Elon Musk thinks that the Tesla is going to be profitable in the second half of this year, it means that it's going to happen. Maybe not the second half of this year, but it's going to happen soon. Right?
No, right.
It's going to happen a lot sooner than everyone has been saying it is. Everyone's saying, The Economist right here is saying that Tesla's going to need to raise money. Right. Elon Musk is saying, no, we do not need to raise money, which is something that he has already said, and now he is saying that the company is going to be profitable.
I want to know why these analysts and banks have trouble doing basic math to the tune of this much money. Are they really thinking that his production numbers are going to be so pitifully low that he can't make any money from the Model 3?
I don't know what on earth could possibly be driving this.
Well, and I also want to go back. The Economist gets to quote a bank, Jefferies, a bank. But within that bank, there's a guy, probably, sitting on the 14th floor. And his name is, let's call him Bob. And he wrote a report to his superiors, and he told them, because they don't pay attention to what's going on at Tesla, he wrote, this is what's going to happen with the Model 3 production.
Right. And then they get to quote that as if it's fact.
It's just Bob on the 14th floor.
Right.
He doesn't know.
Right.
Elon knows.
Right. And Elon, of course, let's put this all into perspective, usually has very high, lofty visions of what he and his company can accomplish. I think that's a good thing to have lofty, high goals, because otherwise you're never going to accomplish anything.
Exactly. But let's not forget he hits those goals almost all the time. Even if they're a tad bit late, he hits them. All the cars have come out. All the cars are amazing. So even if he's 6 months late, who cares?
Right. Timing is, obviously important, but in the grand scheme of things, are people going to care like 10 years from now when we're talking about the Model 3 and we're talking about Elon Musk? Are we going to be like, yeah, and the Model 3 came out, but it came out, a couple weeks,
my car
late.
came out a year late, and I don't care.
Right.
I don't hold that against them.
Right.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. And if they rushed it and they came out early, and it was just fraught with problems that were unfixable, and it was just a completely terrible thing, then we would be having these issues. But because being late is not always the worst thing in the world.
No, and also let's not forget that other car companies are always experiencing production problems. Always. That's just a fact of life in the auto industry, and yet we don't hear about that coming from Bob on the 14th floor.
And they're always late, and they're always pushing back their deadlines. The thing is, though, that they're usually very conservative when they're giving numbers. They're not setting lofty goals. They're setting very boring goals, especially when it comes to EVs.
Yep. All right, it's time for our video contributor story, and this week we have our buddy Ruben in Germany who's going to report on the Wuppertal monorail suspension railway. Take it away. In the German major city Wuppertal, a unique monorail suspension railway with a track length of 13.3 kilometers was built from 1897 to 1903, with its first part of the track opened in 1901. 117 years of constant service with just one major crash with fatalities gives this transportation system the best security rating worldwide. 5 fatalities for 1.5 billion transported passengers. On a weekday, the train moves 82,000 passengers with a minimal interval between trains of 3.5 minutes. The unique geography of Wuppertal, a city built in a steep valley around a river, with narrow streets and a geology which is not suitable for subway systems, leads to the development of a rural transportation system which spans above the streets in the River Wupper in the heart of the city. The railway signal system got completely redesigned, featuring now a direct data link to all the trains via Tetra. Before, it had just been voice communication. Much smaller segments and enhanced security by radar, wheel encoder, and position beacons on the track. Additionally, the new trains got 20% more powerful motors, 4 motors stepping up from 50 to 60 kilowatts. The new motors are also the same type currently used in Tesla Model X and S, which enables the trains to regenerative brake and much quicker acceleration. All those changes reduce the minimal time between 2 trains in the same direction from 3.5 minutes to just 2 minutes. At the time, all old trains are replaced by new ones. In the last years, the accessibility was enhanced by adding markings for the blind on the station floors and adding elevators to all the stations. The new trains also feature a ramp for wheelchairs on one door and much larger areas inside the train for strollers and wheelchairs. There's some new features, including they've increased the maximum speed of trains to 65 kilometers per hour. There's regenerative braking by changing the motor types to induction motors. They've increased the power by 10 kilowatts to 60 kilowatts. And they've enhanced damping of the trains, allowing a much smoother ride. Wow, he got us live footage of it operating and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, that wasn't Ruben you heard there. That was voiceover because Ruben doesn't speak English that well, but he sent us all the script and we recorded it for him. All right, it's time for our Patreon bonus story, Jesse.
If you want to see it, you can head over to patreon.com and support us for as little as $1 a month.
How many kroner is that? Gotcha.
I don't know.
I think it's like
Danish or Swedish.
Oh yes, I didn't specify, did I?
Think about that one.
It gets pretty complicated over here.
Yes, it does.
All right, we're back from our Patreon bonus story, and it's time to give a special thanks to all of those Patreons out there who are giving us $5 or more a month, because you made our trip to Scandinavia, where we are now, possible. If it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't be sitting here. We'd be sitting back across the pond.
Yeah.
All right, our first shout-out goes to
Carlos Henao,
Stephen Paul,
Joshua Partin,
Jared Smith,
Shabir Gafour,
Christian Hoff,
Jorge Cruz, thank you so much for the hats.
That's one of your hats. And Edgar Funes. Thank you so much, everybody, for supporting us. As you know, we do 8 of these shout-outs every week, and we are getting through the list, but there's still a lot more to go.
You know, it's kind of like the Model 3. We're coming out with our Patreon shout-outs every week, but of course, new people are signing up every week, so if you haven't gotten your shout-out yet, don't worry, we're getting to it.
And Jesse's sleeping on the factory floor. All right, it's time for Community Mail Time. Hey, this is a picture of our buddy Jeff, who's at the Amherst Sustainability Show out in Amherst, Massachusetts. He brought his Model S to bring Tesla to the gang out there, showing off EVs and what EVs can do to help save our planet. Thank you, Jeff. Hey, and he's sporting our hat.
Nice. So every week we like to talk about superchargers because they are awesome. And
the lifeblood of Tesla.
Yeah, and also every week people are uploading supercharger reviews of superchargers that they visited. So this week we have some supercharger reviews. Let's check them out now.
This is Don, and I'm in Mount Shasta off the main turnoff, and I'm at a 16 charger stall, which is the first one up in this area, and I wanted to share it with you. It's a really neat spot. There's all kinds of stores, fast food places all around here. There's a pizza place, and behind here is Mount Shasta. And so if anybody's driving down I-5 and they want to know where this charger is, look for Mount Shasta. Can't miss it. Anyway, Zach and Jesse, have a good one. Bye.
My name's Walter. We are at Solano Town Center here in Fairfield, California. And this is an excellent place. We have 11 stalls here, and there's one more right over here. But as you can see, this is a big thing. We have Fairfield and Vacaville now here on this side of California. So excited to be able to use this. Well, thank you guys for all that you guys do. Keep up the good job.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Daoud Mohamed coming to you from Vacaville, California, here at the 12-stall Supercharger at the Vacaville Premium Outlet. This is a pretty good location because it's partway between San Francisco and Tahoe, so if you're going to go skiing, you might want to stop here. And it's at the Premium Outlet, so there's lots of shopping, and there's restrooms and walking distance.
We're at the Hedenstedt, Denmark Supercharger. This is a 16 stall. Jesse, what do you think of it?
I like it. It has food, it has a bathroom, it has a place to walk your dog, it has trash cans. It's got 16 stalls, it's right off the highway. I'm going to give it an 8.
But the only thing I guess I would take it down for is that it's, what am I going to take it down?
It smells like manure.
Yeah, it kind of, I was trying to find a nice way to say that.
Yeah.
It smells a little bit like manure. But other than that, it's great. It's an 8.
It's an 8.
Whoa, who are those last two handsome devils?
Yeah, that's so funny.
Wow, they look oddly familiar. And now it's time for us to talk about the new superchargers that went online this week. What do we got, Jess?
We have a 24-stall supercharger in Santa Clarita, California. That's where I was born.
Wow, big one there.
Yeah.
An 8-stall in Jiang, Guangzhou International Plaza, China.
A 6-stall in Ashan Barun Hotel, China.
A 4-stall at the Newtown Plaza in Hong Kong.
8 stalls in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
A 10-stall at the Guangzhou International Finance Center in China.
Number 1219 in the world and number 29 in Italy is the 10-stall in Imperia, Italy.
I was surprised that there are that many superchargers in Italy, and the fact that you can get all the way up and down Italy on superchargers.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
We should do an Italy tour.
Yeah, I need about a week's rest before that. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much to everyone who uploads their supercharger reviews. It's so cool to see them all every week, and looking forward to seeing more. Keep in mind that you can also review not just superchargers, but also destination chargers, and of course keep it landscape so that way we can see really nicely.
And if you would like to use our referral code to buy your Model S or X, you will get free supercharging for life. And we think that Tesla's probably going to be extending that,
right.
So I wouldn't worry too much about the deadline, but we'll update you on that. And you will get a ride in the next generation Tesla Roadster, which will drive to your house whether you live in Southern Canada, the United States, or Europe. So make sure you use our referral code for that. Thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Reporting again from Scandinavia, now you know.